walked off to the head of the column. Arkil was talking to two of the Jarls. Like all the Himling dynasty, Arkil was tall, very broad-shouldered, with long blonde hair. Like all the Himlings, his arms were bright with gold. The Atheling smiled at Starkad. One of the Jarls spoke. "Your crew are still slower than mine," Wiglaf said. Starkad shrugged. "He's still a puppy." Arkil's tone was light. 25 winters, you could hope for more," Wiglaf replied. "I said he was too young to be one of the Duguth, let alone an Jarl." Starkad smiled in a way he hoped conveyed the gathering senility of his elders. A big man himself, he had some confidence in his own skill at arms and his ability to exact obedience. He did not bother to point out his men had been tasked with the rounding up of prisoners. The chiefs of the other 15 ships began to come up in ones or twos. Arkil had a few words with each Jarl. It was not just stature Arkil had inherited. All the Himlings of Hedensea had the gift of commanding men in war. It came naturally to them. They were Woden-born. Even Starkad's stepfather, Oslak, quiet, studious man that he was, had led several successful expeditions in his youth. Starkad's thoughts ran from Oslak to his mother Cadlin, and from her to his father. He did not want to think about his father. Starkad looked at the arch spanning the road. It was a gateway that could not be shut and that connected to no walls, a thing of elaborate impracticality. In the torchlight, its relief carvings shifted. Men heavily armed, Roman-style or stark naked, killed trousered warriors whose faces were grotesquely bearded, almost bestial. Why had the townsfolk commissioned such a monument? Presumably they identified with the Roman fighters and had forgotten that once they had been free men, before the legionaries had massacred their trouser-wearing forefathers, taken their weapons, and made them pay taxes. Starkad had little but contempt for men who paid others to defend them. "It has all been too easy," Starkad said. "And you would know," Wiglaf said. Some of the older Jarls laughed. The boy might not be wrong. Arkil was known as a thoughtful man. No one can tell what the Norns have spun. Great misfortune often follows hard on the heels of success, but Morcar and I spied out this place last year on our way back from the west. We were thorough. Morcar questioned the locals we caught. He did not spare himself. Everyone smiled, some wincing at the thought of the ingenious cruelty Arkil's half-brother delighted in using. Not all the Himlings were gentle. "It is 50 miles to Rotomagus, the same to Samarobriva. There are no Roman troops nearer than Jesoriacum, and that is further by road, and its harbor has few warships. There was no burning in last night's work. No beacons have been seen. There is no time for a message to reach Jesoriacum, and the soldiers to return before we are gone." The chiefs nodded at the sagacity of the Atheling. "There is nothing at which the gods can complain. We have promised much to Ran, that she will spare us her drowning net, and Woden will have the rest, and much booty on our return." A low humming of approval at the old stern ways of blood ran through the leading men. "We have done what we can by gods and man," Arkil said. "Put out the torches. It is time to get back to the ships." Starkad walked back past the first 3 crews to his own men. Although sitting casually, some even prone, they were in rough marching formation. None was drinking more than might be expected. The roped captives were huddled in the street between them and the warriors of the next longboat. At Starkad's command, his followers began to clamber to their feet. They extinguished the torches, hefted their weapons and plunder, and shouted at the prisoners until they got up as well. At home, the old men said that until the reign of the sinning Jarl, just 3 generations before, the Angles had gone to war in no great order.